Hey, if this video found you, it's for a reason, so stick around. My name's Adike. They call me Herc. I'm the founder of the Hercules Transformation Program. You might have watched some of my videos, seen me on Instagram or YouTube, but regardless, you're here now for a reason. I kind of want to talk about how you're not necessarily lazy or unmotivated. And even if you are, it's not necessarily who you are, it's how you've been programmed to become, or should I say how you've been programmed to be. Although one thing a lot of people don't understand is that they're really operating on unconscious scripts. And this is intentional because let's be real, we all want a better body, we all want more money, we all want to be up, we all want to be him and feel like him, right? But then sometimes you look at your reality and it doesn't reflect that and you wonder why. Even though internally, like you know what you need to do, but you're still not doing it and you don't know why. And this is primarily due to unconscious programming. And these unconscious scripts dictate your life if you let them and if you're not aware of them. There's somebody watching this right now that when they wake up, they're like, no, today is the day. I'm locking in with intention. I'm moving with intention, right? I'm moving with urgency, you know? But then the day rolls around and nothing actually gets done. You tell yourself that today I'm locking in, but you find yourself doom scrolling. You find yourself wasting time. You find yourself distracted or procrastinating or just putting things off and you don't know why. And then at the end of the day, you just end up feeling like shit. And you're like, fuck, like it's another day gone. Because every day is a chance to be great if you capitalize. But most people, they don't. And the end of the day rolls around, they're like, what the fuck have I done? I haven't done anything to move the needle forward. I haven't actually done anything. A lot of people will sit around, turn on the Netflix, watch the show, watch the game, put on the game. They're not progressing themselves forward by doing that. Yet you do it anyway. And it's not because you're incapable. It's like I said earlier, you're running on unconscious programming. And if you're letting unconscious programming dictate your life, you'll never get the results that you want. And the thing is, like, I've been there, so I'm speaking from experience here when I say that. I know what it feels like when you're not fully off track, but you're also not in the zone either. You're kind of in a weird middle ground. And you're like, what the fuck? And the truth of the matter is that this is where most people spend their lives, in this middle ground, where they're not actually progressing. And the truth is, this is the way the system was designed. It's designed to keep us at a low vibrational state. And you're gonna be like, what does that mean? Well, think about it for a second here. Modern life is not neutral. Everything is designed to keep you distracted, to keep you numb. Think of porn, that's instant dopamine. Think of social media, you know what I'm saying? That's constant stimulation. Or junk food, it's hyper palatable and it's addictive, right? There's a McDonald's on every corner. There's fast food on every corner, right? It's quick, it's easy, it's convenient, but in reality, it's just making you into a worse version of yourself because it's slowly eroding your insides. And then not to mention vape culture, drinking culture, doom scrolling culture. Vaping is everywhere. Everybody vapes. Everybody drinks every weekend. Oh, it's just what we do. So it's fun. But is it really? Right? Because when you go out, are you really enjoying yourself? Being drunk around strangers that you don't really know, people that you can't really connect with. First of all, the club's loud. Everyone's just drunk. And then you wake up the next morning being like, I have some regrets. Or maybe that night you did something that you regret and then you can't change it now. And you lost an evening, right? Or even the vape, Deep down, you shouldn't be hitting that shit. It's fucking up your lungs. But you reach for it anyway, every single day. Hitting that shit, right? It controls you. And all of these things, they just lower your baseline. So then when you do feel that urge to make a change, you try, but then nothing actually changes because you don't really make any progress forward. You keep resorting back to the same numbing behaviors, the doom scrolling, the vaping, for some people it's kush. That was me. I'd reach for the J, right? Just to chill, just one more time, just one more hit. Oh, this is the last one. But in reality, it never really is the last one now, is it? And the dangerous part is that when your baseline drops, everything just feels so much harder. Your focus is almost non-existent. And motivation becomes so much more inconsistent. So now you think, oh, I need more discipline. No, that's completely backwards. You don't need more discipline. In reality, what you actually need is to upgrade your operating system, because you're trying to operate at a high level with a low system, right? Your mind just isn't there yet. You can't do it. You'll never be able to. And that's why you're still in the same position. You have a weak system. Because if you really think about it, you and I are nothing more than the awareness behind the eyes. And your awareness is dependent on your thinking and operating system. Somebody operating from a higher level of awareness is capable of more simply because they're operating at a higher level than you are, right? Somebody who isn't constantly numbing out or reaching for vices is able to execute properly. They have a higher baseline than you. Therefore, they can execute more and actually do the boring, mundane tasks that are required to propel themselves forward. While you're still stuck reaching for the vape, addicted, while you still find yourself laying in bed, it's 1:30 in the morning, and you've been on TikTok for an hour and a half, when you know you should go to bed and get a good night's rest, right? Little things like that. There's something that a lot of you may not know about, especially individuals who haven't really taken the time to rewire their mind. And most people don't. It's called the Negredo. Now, you might be thinking, what the fuck is the Negredo? Now, in Jungian psychology, the Negredo is called, or should I say known as, the dark night of the soul. It's essentially the first stage in transformation. It's from alchemy as well. It's known as like the blackening stage, essentially. It's basically a stage of destruction where everything begins to break down. And this is essentially where you feel lost, you feel off, you feel like you need to change, but you don't really know how to, and you don't really know what to do quite yet. That's the Negredo. Now, most people think something is wrong with them during this phase, but in reality, there's nothing wrong. You're kind of just waking up. But instead of waking up and, pushing through it, a lot of people revert back to their old habits, the doom scrolling, the comfort, the pleasure-seeking behaviors, that sort of thing. And change never fully occurs. And this is honestly due to the fact that facing yourself is extremely uncomfortable. It requires disillusion of the ego. It's hard to confront and face the fact that the reason you're in the position you are in right now is entirely your fault, because your position is a result of every single action that you've taken up until this point. A lot of people don't want to face that fact, but that's the truth. And that requires the ego to be dissolved. And most people are unwilling to do that because change is uncomfortable. But success is on the other side of change, right? Transformation is on the other side of change. Because in order to become the person you want to become, you have to no longer be the person you currently are. And that's scary to most people, unless you fully embrace change. And the person you want to become begins in the mind. The first Hermetic principle is mentalism, which essentially means that all is mind, because everything begins in the mind before it can manifest into the physical. You must first believe you can become that person, and this is where your identity begins to shift. Because once you integrate a specific identity, then you're able to actually operate at this level only when your mind is truly locked in on this idea. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your identity, because that's your baseline. They're just saying you don't rise to the level of your ambition. You don't. You fall to the level of your systems. Like I said earlier, if you have a weak operating system, your problem isn't motivation. It's not. You have to upgrade the system. You can have all the motivation in the world, but with a weak system, you'll never be able to execute. And you'll never be able to maintain anything long enough for change to actually manifest. Because deep down, right, if you believe that, oh, I'm inconsistent, oh, I'm not disciplined, oh, I can't stay locked in, then that's exactly how you're gonna act. Because your actions are just a reflection of who you think you are. Which is why I said, all is mind, right? Hermetic principle number 1. So the real problem, it isn't your effort, it's your identity. That's what needs to shift. Because if you actually want to change, you need to go through phases. not just random bursts of motivation. No, not at all. No, that would never work. The first phase is awareness, right? You need to realize that, okay, I've been programmed and I'm operating on unconscious scripts. Your current habits, they've been built and they've been integrated, and they are responsible for the person you are right now. You're nothing more than a combination of all your actions, right? That's it. Phase 2 is destruction. You need to break down what currently exists in order to make room for greater. And like, you can't do it slowly. You gotta, boom, cut it immediately. You gotta destroy everything, right? You really gotta break everything down. And you gotta cut the things that are keeping you weak, because your future identity depends on it. The identity of the person that you want to be no longer does the actions that you're performing today. The third phase is rebuild. You need to install structure into your operating system. I'm talking gym, routine, discipline, right? And these things can't be based on feeling. They need to be based on your identity. They need to become one with you. They need to become who you are. A person who's trying to quit smoking, they don't quit by saying, oh, I need to quit smoking. No. They quit by saying, well, I'm no longer a smoker. They can't identify with the habit of smoking. That is not them anymore. They are not that. And their actions will follow. Oh, I'm not a smoker. I don't do that. Boom. And lastly, the final phase is embodiment, because this is where everything actually clicks. You're not relying on willpower, motivation. You just move. You just do what needs to be done because that is who you are. That's when things actually change. So now you actually have to make it real. And if you're watching this, you just got to start simple, okay? Cold shower in the morning. Not because it's magical, no, but because it builds control. You're intentionally doing something difficult. Train your body, even when you don't feel like it. You need to cut the cheap dopamine, at least for a set period of time. Tell yourself, 60 days, I'm not doing X anymore. 60 days, I'm not hitting the vape. 60 days, I'm not watching porn. And watch how quickly things will change. By the end of those 60 days, you don't even need the vape. You won't even need the porn. Why? Because your identity is shifted. And it boils down to the things you do every single day. Every single day you say no to the urge is one more day that you're leveling up. Just a small upgrade, 1% better in the right direction. And eventually, it compounds over time. And lastly, you need to start paying attention to your thoughts, okay? Start paying attention to your urges. And then you start to realize that a lot of them aren't even yours. They're just things that are passing through the mind. Be aware of them, acknowledge them, but you don't need to act on every single thought that enters your brain. You don't. So if you feel like something's been off in your life, if you feel like you've been meant for more, but you haven't fully stepped into it yet, that's a good thing. It means you're not broken. It just means that you're at a point where things need to change. And most people will ignore the feeling. They'll go back into comfort. They'll choose distraction. That's okay. But that's why they stay the same. And I highly advise you to not be that person. Don't be that person. You know you don't want to be that person. Because if you're watching this and you actually stuck all the way through, it means you want more. You want to be more. And it means you believe you can be more. I believe you can be more. So go ahead and do it, right? Prove yourself right. Take care. And if this is the last video of mine that you ever watch, I hope you got some value out of it. And I hope that you truly integrate what I told you. God bless you. I love you.